I look quite young.
And we're live. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Monday Night Paranormal Live with Paul and Jenny for hosts for Ghosts, Angela from South Coast Ghost, Julia from Paranation Ghost Hunted Events. I'll get that right one of these days. And Luke, one of our investigators in the bottom corner there. So, there's a funny face behind Angela. It might be Jack or a ghost. Not quite sure. Hi, Jack. So welcome to Monday Night Paranormal Live. Tonight we're going to talk about our investigation at the weekend on Saturday in Fort Purbrook. Angela was out partying, so she's got to probably lay back and listen to all that went on there. So have a restful evening. So if you have any comments, throw them on the screen for us, and Angela will put them up there. Ask us any questions, or if there's anything. Hi, Ghost Dragon Investigations. Hi, Jamie. So if you have any questions or anything you want to put past us, please come on and comment. I don't know whether Gemma sent you a clip of the EVP we got, Angela?
No.
Okay. So if Gemma's watching, can she try and send it through? Because it's quite a capture, really. So who wants to start? Julia, would you like to start? Or
Yes, yeah. I can start. We started off at Mick's Burgers.
Of course you did.
And just to get some fuel and some energy for our ghost hunt at Fort Purbrook Saturday just gone. Very reasonably priced as well. Very windy, very, very windy. And I said to Gemma, "Oh, I'm surprised Luke and Lynn aren't here." And I turned around and I was like, "Oh my God, they're standing there." We gave a little bit of a wave up the queue. So that sort of kept us going. And when we got to Fort Purbrook, we went into the base room. People started to arrive, and we went down into the tunnels. We had a fair few people there. We had a really good turnout. It was lots of newbies there. And some old faces that we haven't seen for a while, which was really good. Went down in the tunnels. Some people went upstairs, some people went downstairs. We started off with I started off with some glass moving. We didn't really get much to start off with. With the laser grid up, didn't really get much. A little bit of glass moving. We did some writing planchette. We got some sort of a little bit of drawing on that, but we couldn't really decipher what it was saying. We thought it was maybe a W or an N or maybe an M. We weren't really sure. And then I think later on in the evening, I think we got the name William. So we thought, oh, maybe it was they were trying to do a W. Then what did we do? We had a couple of coffee breaks. It was a bit of a chilly evening. And then we got sort of the laser grid going off. The shadow tracker going off. That was flashing. We got the cat ball flashing. Towards the end of that, we decided to do some table tipping with Gemma's table because it's a bit lighter than my wooden one. And we made some fantastic cat ball holders, or you can also use them as planchettes. So glow in the dark triangles. I think she's selling them for about £3 each, which is, for all the work that she puts into making them and making up the resin and everything. It's cheap as chips, really. So we thought we'd give that a go, and it really did glow. It was amazing. put that on the table with a cat ball on the top. Did some table tipping. The table was really rocking. We got some really good table tipping. Hi, Christine. Sometimes we don't, the table just doesn't move, but it was really, really rocking. It threw the ball off the table, and there was a few of us in the room. And then from like the room next door, which had an archway through to it, we heard like, I don't know, sort of like these really weird, sort of like a voice, sort of like a sort of like type noise, and we're like, oh my, did anyone hear that? Anyway, we carried on sort of doing a bit of table tipping and that, and we heard it about 2 or 3 times, a few times. So we moved into the room next door, and we were all sort of standing in there, and we luckily we managed to get it on video. So yeah, really, really good. Don't know where it was coming from. It was towards the end of the night. We were all in the same room. There wasn't really anybody else walking around or anything. So, we tried to sort of like debunk it, think, oh, is it the wind, or, could it be this? Could it, be the wind like whistling through the, the gaps in the bricks or something? Because there's like these little like arrow hole things. But no, we just don't know what it was. It was just like a really weird noise. But yeah, I'll hand you over to Paul, and he'll tell you about what he got.
Well, I started the night off down going up and down the stairs, letting people in because people were a bit late because there's a road shut and this, and so we were going up and down, and then Julia then did like a lit walk around down the tunnels so people get a bit of a bearing where they are and what they're doing. So eventually I caught up with Julia down the end of one of the tunnels, and we were like Julia said, we was doing like glass moving, but the glass vibrated but never really did anything. It sort of moved very slightly. We thought, oh, we're here, this is it, we've got it, and then it just stopped for some unknown reason. It was just like they wanted to let us know they were there but didn't want to really interact. So we went to the planchette and it sort of scribbled a bit, and the laser grid started to dim at one stage, and then we're saying to you, can you turn them off? Can you do something with them? And suddenly really went very bright, like brighter than normal. So that was interesting, but we couldn't really confirm because that could have been a battery surge or anything, but it was just seemed to be a bit coincidental when we asked. I think we were standing there, was a few people with us, probably 10, 11 people, I suppose, a couple sitting down, and there was a few knocks, a little bit of tap, but nothing to write home about. So we thought, okay, we'll go and have because upstairs above us and just along a bit was Gemma with a group, and they were hollering and shouting and REM pods going off and banging, and we all know what Gemma's like when she gets the wind up. You could hear her a mile away, So they were getting quite a lot upstairs, but we weren't getting a great deal. So I think we went then and had a bit of a break, a cup of tea, and because it was quite cold down there. It was surprising, really, when you're underground. You think it would be a bit warmer, but it was quite chilly down there. And when I first got there, I took like a Facebook live thing because the flagpole was flapping, but it was making a noise like a ching, 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 ching. And that was a lot. So I was looking at that thinking, some of the noises, could that be the flag flapping? Possibly. It was mentally windy there. It was unreal. I was having the bike on the side stand, and it was actually rocking the bike on the side stand. It was that strong. So the guy allowed me to put it inside the fort out of the wind. So we came back, had a cup of tea, and then as normal, you start to disperse, don't you? Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Jackie.
So you start to disperse, with people going their own way. But I was outside talking to who was I outside talking to Sarah and her partner, and I think was it Matt? Mark. Yeah, we were outside talking, and it sounded like someone was walking towards us, rattling keys. Like you could hear keys rattling. But where we had the base room on the lower level, there's another tunnel up the opposite end, So we went up there, but unfortunately the gate was locked on that one. But that's where we could hear what sounded like keys, because myself, Sarah, we all sort of turned thinking someone was walking along with the keys. And earlier the evening, when I was going up and down to the stairs, I came back down the stairs to come back and say to Julia, that's about the right number. And I saw a little boy sitting on the step, well, what looked like a little boy. And I sort of, as I came down, I looked to the left, I thought, what's he doing there? And sort of got a bit further, looked back, and there was no one there. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm not sure about that one. But I definitely saw someone, it looked like a child, but it was sitting on the step, like looking up, like that. So I carried on, went into the base room, thought, maybe I'll go back later and see. So we went in the base room and did all the health and safety stuff and all of that. And eventually, later in the evening, people were all scattered around. So some were up one end, some were up the top, some were investigating the very top, some were down the tunnels. So I was down the tunnels, and it was getting late, about midnight. There was a few bits going on. Myself, Dora, I think Luke were down one tunnel. We went down there on our own in the dark. We was right at the very bottom.
Yeah.
Do you remember? We were walking down the tunnel, the three of us, and we could have sworn blind someone was walking behind us because it didn't match our footsteps.
Yeah.
Do you remember, Luke? We kept stopping and looking. Yeah, behind you. We kept looking, didn't we?
Yeah.
We thought, so maybe somebody's just come around the corner and they're coming down the tunnel. At one stage, we could hear running. We're thinking, we could hear running. Someone's running down the tunnel. And after about a few minutes, Julia appeared. So it was Julia running down the tunnel. So it wasn't anything sinister. It was Julia. So we debunked that. Yeah, Julia's going, I just rushed to get back. So we debunked the running down the tunnel, which was a shame, but we did. So it's good to see a human come out the end. I think if it had been a ghost, we might have been trapped in the bottom there. So anyway, myself, Dora, and Luke, we were walking down there, and there was nobody else there, was there, Luke? And we were walking, though, we were free walking, but you could hear like a full footstep behind you. It's really strange, wasn't it, Luke?
Yeah.
We kept looking behind, thinking there must be someone coming around the corner. So we looked and waited, didn't we? Halfway down, and I think Luke was looking. Me and Dora were looking in front, couldn't see anything in the front. So, okay, so we carried on. And again, as we started to walk, it started to walk with us, didn't it, Luke?
Yeah.
We kept saying, where is that coming from? And we stopped and it stopped. We walked, it walked. So we weren't sure what that was because there was no one in it. And I even looked in the damp floor to see if I could see footsteps or something in the damp floor to, back up what we were hearing, but couldn't see anything. Because obviously I took a picture or something. I had my video camera running forward, not back, and Luke was behind us. So Luke keeps looking back. So we were eventually made to the end of the tunnel. It's like a big room, and it's like a little room off of a big room. So we stood in the big room. And a few times, Luke, do you remember what happened? There was a few things happened there, weren't there?
I think you said you got a bit scared. You got a bit sinister. You felt a bit nervous.
Because we could see, when you're in the room, you could look back and you can actually see the tunnel, the shape of the arch on the tunnel and the escape lights. And they had like the exit lights. And we kept hearing this noise like someone was walking. It literally was like someone, not upstairs, but down the tunnel. And minutes was listening to what sounded like footsteps. The tunnel disappeared. It was so dark that we couldn't see any of the lights, the escape, the emergency lighting, or the edge of the tunnel. So, of course, it's your only way out, isn't it? So when you suddenly start to lose sight of your only way out, not so much worried, I'm thinking, we're in a room, we can't go any further, we can't run anywhere, and we can't see the way out. And whatever it was came in the room, didn't it, Luke?
Yeah.
And it was like it was walking around us. You know that feeling when you're turning around and you're thinking something's here, something's moving around us. But we couldn't really place where it was, could we? It was difficult. Whatever it was difficult. And I know, you could say it was your mind playing tricks or your eyes adjusting. Yeah, I could go with eyes adjusting for the first few minutes. But once you're in the dark, your eyes will adjust anyway. But we could not see the exit sign or anything. which was a bit unnerving, really, thinking if we need to run, something's happened or something a bit sinister's here, we got to try and find our way out. And then after 5 minutes, 10 minutes of being calling out, there was a tap, wasn't there, Luke, a knock, and a couple of other bits, and what we thought was a voice.
Yeah, voice
We thought we heard a voice,
Yeah.
and we couldn't work out where that had come from, but because we stood there quietly, because we wondered if anybody was above us, in the rooms above us. So we stayed quiet for a little while and listened. There was nobody there. Everybody was sort of scattered around the fort. So eventually we'd sort of look back and you could see the arch and its gate lights. So whatever was darkness in there had gone, had moved. We don't know where, but it did. So we were down there for half an hour, 40 minutes. So there was knocks, taps. We did some EVPs, got a few little things on there, and sort of, we're okay, let's go and have a cup of tea. So we've been out, a while down the tunnel. So we wandered back out, and people were scattered everywhere. So we decided to go back down and get some EVPs. And we walked back down there, myself, Dora, Luke. There was a young couple with us as we were walking down there. So we ended up in the room at the end. And then not long after that, Julia came down with a few people with Julia, with Mark and that, wasn't it?
Yeah, Gemma,
and we were standing there, and we'd been in there a bit, but we were getting quite a bit. It was starting to build up. Julia came in with some of her group. So we decided we'd put the shadow tracker on the seat and we put the tripwire on the floor. See if we could get anything on the tripwire, because you had that feeling something was in that room, but you just don't know, do you? So the shadow tracker kept flashing a few times, and then the tripwire changed as in temperature changed, and then suddenly it stopped, like red, like something had walked across it. It just suddenly stopped and glowed bright red. And the only way you can recreate it is by stepping over it. But nobody stepped over it because it was too far away from anybody to step over. So that was really interesting to see that suddenly light up. And it sort of stopped, we assume, the red light stopped where the crossing had happened, whatever it came across. So that was really good to see the tripwire working well. And then we decided to do some EVPs, because we've got a bit of a thing group. But so about 7 of us, I think, in the end, 8 of us maybe. So we had a table in the middle and put the K2s down that were flashing occasionally, put the shadow box down on the table. What else? I had my camera on the table, that's right. My camera was videoed, so it was live. So I'd refreshed the battery, so it's a brand new battery in there. So we're standing in there doing a bit of calling out, and the shadow box started to flash a little bit, like something was going past it. And then the camera went and just turned off, and the battery went flat. And I'm thinking, didn't it? It went goodbye and just turned itself off. And I'm like, why would you do that now? Right in when something's going to happen, you turn the cameras goes off. So anyway, I did one EVP, and it sounded like something moving around the room. And then we heard called out, can you tell us your name? Can you tell us who you are? We heard like that, a clear, because I thought it was a young couple. They went, no, we've just heard it in the corner here. So we're all sort of thinking, okay, we're starting to get a bit of contact here. And I thought I heard it audibly at first, but weren't sure. And a few different people over the other side said, who was that? So it sort of backed up what we'd heard. So anyway, I said, all right, we'll do another one. We'll do a separate EVP. So, normal sort of start down in the basement with the arrow target, blah, blah, blah. And I must send the recording over you hear me say, hello, my name's Paul. Can you tell us your name? And instantly you got Mark right on the recorder. Yeah. It was like, I thought I heard a name, but then I thought, no, okay. So we carried on with the EVP. And then I said to him, we'll play it back and see, just in case. And the little bits of the machineries were flicking. So you knew something wanted to interact. So we played it back, and clear as day, you hear Mark comes across it. And really right up to the microphone. Mark, it goes. So, right, bloody hell, that was a good direct response. So we carried on listening to it, and there was a few other bits and hums and taps and what sounds like footsteps walking around the room. So we said, like, Mark, if you're here, would you like to communicate with us? Flash the shadow box once for yes, twice for no. And it was a few minutes, like nothing, and it just sort of lit a little bit. And we said it again, Mark, would you like to communicate with us in the room? And it flashed a bright yes. One for yes, wasn't it? Thinking, okay, so he wants to communicate. So then we started to ask questions. You know, did you die here? And it was like for no. And then we give it, I can't remember all the questions. Some other questions was going yes, no, yes, no. It's literally responding on the shadow box and nothing else. It was direct. You know, as soon as you said that, it would go yeah, no. And I think Julia said, were you here in the 1900s? And it was flashing no. Were you here earlier than that? Yeah. You know, would you come from the land? No. Did you die building it? Yes. Is your name Mark? Yes. It was really, really full on contact on the shadow box. You know, and all the time I kept the recorder going, left it on the table, so it wasn't near it. So hopefully when I go back over that thing, we'll hear it. So we was having really, really good contact. So as normal, you say, okay, Mark, if you're in the room, could you touch one of us? And it was like, yes. So Gemma's going, oh, not me, not me, not me. And then it touched Gemma. It touched her arm. Because she screamed. She jumped towards Dora. Dora didn't know which way to run because Gemma was doing her normal panic, let's get out of here, I don't like that mode, which is quite funny. And then we said, oh, thank you for doing that. You know, can you touch someone else in the room just to get it varied running around? The next thing, Dora said, oh, something's just grabbed my arm, moved my arm. And it literally touched two of them, Gemma and Dora. So that really confirmed. And then we were back on the shadow box with it flashing again. So the communication was really, really good. But that's when we were down. It's 7 or 8 of us, Julia, Luke, 7 or 8 of us, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. And the young couple that have done a couple of paranormal nights before, they moved. He said, something's just walked past me, didn't he? He said, no. Something's just walked past us. So they then came from past the door, sort of a bit more into the room. And the funny thing really was Zoe was leaning on the door frame, sort of a little bit out of the room. So she was quite chilled there. And then it was starting to go dark in the room where you enter the room. And then I think 5 minutes later, Zoe was in the same room as us then. She'd actually worked her way around the corner and came in the room with us because it was getting that intense that the room outside was dark. And somebody kept saying, I think it might have been a young couple or someone, said that they keep seeing someone look around the corner at the end of the fire exit. But I didn't see that myself. But they said someone has just looked around the corner. And Zoe said she kept feeling someone was here in the peripheral vision behind her, but she wasn't sure. But they kept saying, I've just seen someone pop out and pop back, which would indicate why the room was quite dark. So that contact was really, really good. We were really pleased with that bit of contact. And then we went upstairs, myself and a few others. That was the last EVP was like right at the end of the night. We didn't realise we'd run out of time. It was 1:30 because we really got into the contact. We just didn't want to go, did we? Because it was really interactive.
We just carried on and
we would have done. Somebody hadn't said it's 1:30. We'd have gone. We'd have probably been there at 4:00 in the morning, still going. But it was really, really good contact. To see the tripwire work as well, that worked really well to show where someone had stepped over it. And then the shadow box was working well. You know, but even the K2s were flickering. So, you know, all in all, that room was quite good. And yet Gemma and that were upstairs and they had REM pods going off upstairs, voices, breaths, and all sorts of things going on. But, you know, what made our evening was hearing the name over the EVP, Mark. You know, it was just a direct response to a question, which was amazing, really. It was, if you'd have just got that all night, that would have been fine. You know, because it was so clear and precise. And then the footsteps around the room and all that sort of thing. And, you know, we kept questioning each other. Did you make a noise? And then one of the young guy, we heard a noise. We said, did you hear that? He said, so I'm really sorry, that's my tummy. So yeah, his tummy went. So at least he was honest to say,
Yeah.
he said, "Oh, sorry, that's my stomach." So that's fine, because he was honest enough to say it was his tummy, because you could have. It was obviously a strange noise, but we picked it up. So him being honest, saying it was my stomach, which was good. It's what you want, so you can just debunk that. But what else was there? There was rustling, wasn't there? Breaths.
Yeah,
There's
breaths,
all
yeah.
sorts of things going on. What else, Luke? Do you remember?
I know we was at the spiral staircase, and I got like someone knocks into your arm, and I thought it was I thought my mum like bashed into me, but she wasn't there.
I think somebody said they felt cats or an animal brush past their legs. Was it
Oh, Matt. Matt said that
Matt?
he
Yes.
felt a cat or a cat round his legs. I think Gemma was there as well.
Yeah.
He said he felt something that felt like a cat, sort of like going around his legs.
So that was interesting. It started off a little bit slow, but it really did start to pick up pace. Soon after we'd sort of gone and had tea, I suppose, refreshed yourself, recharged a little bit, and then came back down there. It really started to seem to charge the whole thing up, didn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. With the shadow tracker, I had it stretched out, and it wasn't like completely flat. It was a little bit bendy, but when I had it sort of like bendy in another room, you still had that blue light racing up and down, even though the tracer wire wasn't completely flat. You still had the blue light just running up and
Yeah.
down like it does. But when we're up in the other room, I laid it down as flat as I could. It was a little bit, raised in places. It wasn't entirely flat, but it was laid out. And you had the blue light, and then this big, like, pink surge light, which is like the temperature fluctuation, that surged up the tracer wire. And then I think I was standing at the far end of it, and sort of by the sort of like base unit, it looked like somebody had like trod over the tracer wire. So I said, "Oh, come, towards me, walk towards me, come further up the wire." Anyway, it didn't. So I went down to the base side of it, and when I did that, the footstep, which was the light that lit up on the tracer wire, was then up the other end. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so if this was like a technical fault in the tracer wire, when I walked down to the base unit where the footstep was, it would have stayed there, but it didn't. It went to the far end. And then the guy with the young couple, he sort of like straightened it out, and then we just got the blue line going up and down. But I thought, oh, could that be maybe a fault with it? But I thought, well, why would the footsteps suddenly go up the other end, opposite to where I was? So that was quite interesting.
It's quite good.
I have managed to send Angela the recording of the mark,
Oh, that's nice.
but I could play it. I could try and play it through my headset if you wanted me to.
I'll try it here.
That's Paul.
Recording upstairs in the room with the arrow targeting. My name's Paul. Can you tell us your name, Spirit, please?
Yeah.
Wow.
Brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you want to play that again?
Yeah. You listen straight after I stop.
That's a really good voice recorder as well.
Recording upstairs in the room with the arrow targeting. My name's Paul. Can you tell us your name, Spirit, please?
Yeah.
No, I think it says Mark.
Mark,
Yeah.
I would go for Mark as well.
I don't know what you think, Angela, whether it's...
Yeah, it sounds like the most likely name.
But it was a direct response, wasn't it, to the question?
Yeah.
We did have a Mark with us. I don't know if we had more than one Mark, but we did have Mark with us. But because you asked what his name was,
Yeah.
it just sounded like Mark.
Mm.
Yeah. Because when you look at the writing planchette, it actually, we thought it looked like a W, but then we wondered whether it was an M. Yes, Christine, yeah. We think we heard Mark. We thought it was a W, didn't we, for like William? But now when we heard that, we wonder whether, because it's the same room that we had the writing planchette, whether it was Mark, an M for Mark. Because it's definitely like what you'd assume it looks like a W. But if you look at it, you think, well, hang on a minute, that could be an M for Mark that he'd actually wrote out a little bit earlier. But it's a great catch, great response, straight from the question. You know, even if you just had that for that night, you know, we were all chuffed. But even going on, I was trying, if I can work out how to get it off my recorder, I'll send it over. Because when you listen to it, there's loads more movement. There's footsteps. There's a in the background as well, like someone agreeing to. Do you hear a question? You hear like that, and you think, and you hear us say, who was that? Because I think we all heard that, but we were asking each other, did you just make? You know how you do, and nobody owned up, shall we say? But it didn't sound like in the room. It sounded distant, you know, from a. And also, the other thing we were spotting was green laser grid. Although there was no shadow, but some of the lower down dots were going blurry and then going clear again, then blurry, then clear. Now, you wouldn't say it was a shadow because there was nothing we could see walked across it or it went near it, and the lights were quite bright. But when we were asking questions, although the shadow box was flashing, but the lights also in the green were going blurry, very, very blurry, and then coming back to a normal light again. So I wasn't sure what that was. I don't know. But it wasn't a shadow. But there was no shadow we saw with our own eyes anyway. But the lower lights, even the young guy and the lady he was with kept saying, why do the lights keep going blurry in there? And they did, because I stood there and watched it after asking the question. Sort of watched the green lights like you do, and they did. They went actually blurry before they went clear again. And it was doing that all the time that we were in there. So I'm not sure. Could be Mark for sure. Sounds like a response. Need to hear it again because his recorder picks up rustling beforehand. Can you play that again, Angela?
Yep.
Please. Sorry, that was rude.
Recording upstairs in the room with the arrow target in. My name's Paul. Can you tell us your name, Spirit, please?
There is rustling there. If you think the recorder was laid on the table, so it wasn't in my hand.
No.
It was laid on the table.
Because I thought maybe you were sort of like, you know,
Yeah.
you know, what you like
As soon as
in your hand, you know, sort of.
I said it, and then I put it. As soon as I saying my name's Paul, I put it on the table and just left it, just right to the very beginning. And said recorded in the room with the target, and then I put it on the table by the shadow tracker. And I said, you know, the blah blah blah, and that was the response we got. To me, it sounds like it's really close to the microphone because it's quite loud. What do you think, Angela? What did you think?
Yeah, it does sound like someone's gone right up to it to say their name. Mark.
Yeah, that's
It doesn't
exactly
sound like,
it.
not like a distant noise, is it?
No, it's not as though you've got to listen for an echo down the corridor or down the tunnel. You know, we could have said, well, maybe someone was talking up the tunnel. But this was direct response straight after the question and straight into the microphone, which was brilliant, really, to get a capture like that. And we seem to do, you know, when we do EVPs, we do seem to capture some quite good responses. Whether we're in the right place, the right whatever, I don't know. But that, when I listened back to that, I thought, wow, that's crazy. How can we have such a clear name come through? But even all the way through that recording, I will send it over. I'll work out to get it off the recorder, and because you have to put it in a custom file, and then whatever, I'll try and learn. You know, I'll try and learn how to get it off there. You know, all the way through that recording. No, it was probably, how long was it going? 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. There's rustling. There's movement. There's a from someone. Sounds like a lady's voice. There was
We heard
taps. Yeah,
we heard that quite a few times in there, didn't we?
yeah. It's weird sound, like a breath. But you couldn't. It was
Quite
odd.
loud,
You know
wasn't
that? Yeah, yeah. Because you got one on your phone, didn't you? When you were recording one with Gemma.
it? Yes. I'll see.
That's an interesting one. Hey,
I'll see if I can find it.
because Gemma was going, oh, you know what Gemma's like. This is brilliant. You know, we could hear the REM pods and obviously Gemma's shouting and hollering and things going on up above us, crashing and banging. You know, there was obviously things going on. You could hear the REM pod go in and you could hear them sort of talking in the very distant. But
I'm just seeing if I can find it.
and Julia was recording at the time and picked up. Hi, Dora. Hello, everybody. Sorry I'm late. Been busy. Brilliant end of the night on Saturday at Fort Purbrook. Well done, Paul. No, it's well done, the team. Not me. It's a team. So it was a team effort, that one. So it was good. It was interesting. It just seemed to be the later the night, the more active it became, didn't it, Luke? What did you get, Luke? Because you wandered a few times on your own, didn't you?
Yeah, when I first got there, I had a feeling this is going to get better towards the end. I had a feeling as well when I first got there. I walked in the tunnel on my own, but I couldn't go any further than the spiral staircase because it felt like someone saying to me, "Don't go further on your own."
Is that when me and Dora walked down the tunnel and you were standing there?
Yeah.
And we sort of got to Luke, say, "Oh, Luke, what are you standing?" He said, "Someone's telling me not to go any further."
Yeah.
I said, "Come on in, let's go. Let's get down there. Let's see what's going on." It's obviously saying it for a reason. And that's where we started to walk and we could hear the walking behind us.
It was, yeah.
And it was, I don't know how to explain it. It was like you could hear our footsteps, but you could hear a fourth set of steps. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really strange, wasn't it?
Noise. I've just sent that to Angela. Sorry.
Oh, you said it. This is another good capture.
It was when we were doing the table tipping.
Okay.
So if you listen very carefully, you'll hear it. And this was the sort of thing that happened all through the night, wasn't it? This type of breath. You know, even on the other EVPs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And if you look at the top, you can see the glow in the dark.
Mm.
That was a table tipping and
there. But a lot of that stuff, people heard it, literally heard it. Because you listen on that recording, when you play it again, somebody says, "What was that?" So them breath noises were quite loud for you to...
That table tipping, that was loud enough, wasn't it? Because the table, bangs, bang, 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 where the feet are sort of like bouncing off the concrete floor. So that's quite a noisy experiment. And we heard it above that. So it was sort of trying to reciprocate that one.
What I do is I try and work out how to do it for next week. Because on the recording, I think myself, Luke, and Dora were down the tunnel. We could hear what sounded like a woman scream. Do you remember, Luke? When I played the recorder back, we went, "What was that?"
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah.
It's like a loud pitch.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
But we were down there on our own. So I'm not sure where that came, because that was that. And then wasn't there a voice after that, Luke?
Yeah, I thought it was me speaking, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, because you hear that noise and then you hear a whisper right by the side of us. And then a few seconds later, you hear Luke say, "What was that?" But you hear this whisper in the recording. I'll see if I can try and work out to customize it and get it in a file. And I'll send it to my laptop and then I'll send it over and we'll try and play it. But I've got a few more to go through to have another listen. But we got that one, didn't we, Luke? What else did we get?
We did
Um,
psychic transfiguration.
oh yeah, that was
At,
creepy.
yeah, quite
Mhm.
at the start, not too far into the evening. It was a new couple. The guy decided that he'd like to have a go, so he sat there, and we were like videoing it, and there was like two other ladies there, and they were going, "Oh my god, did you see? Did you see it?" And his eyes just seemed to sort of like flicker. Um,
Yeah,
but
he kept
yeah,
saying the left side of his face was changing, didn't they?
yeah, that
He
was
kept
quite
saying the
interesting.
left side. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then Julia was like, "Said, can you open your spirit eyes for us? Can you look?" And you could just from the video, split second, see his eyes open and shut, like they were
Yeah,
looking at us. That was really interesting. That was creepy but interesting. And even his girlfriend was saying to him, "Your face is changing on the left hand side. It doesn't look like you in the." And she was videoing, and she had the video right up to his face. She said, "It doesn't look like you on the left hand side. It's like you've changed." And she kept
I was,
saying, "Oh, sorry, Jada."
I was standing behind her, so I was videoing her, videoing him. So I need to go through my footage. Yesterday was a very tired day. So if I look at my video of her phone, maybe I can like enlarge it and see if it does look different on her phone. Because she was saying, "Oh, it looks different on the phone than it does
Yeah,
when you look at him." So that needs a little bit of investigating that. But yeah, I
yeah,
thought Luke was going to do it. I said, "Oh, Luke, do you want to come and have a go?" He goes, "Oh, maybe a bit later." And we didn't get around to doing it again.
no,
Did we? We didn't get around to doing it. It just, yeah, it's great, isn't it,
yeah.
Jackie?
We love it. It seems to work. We've had some funny old responses, really, from it, haven't we?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And
It's,
it's when you sort of like take photos and you do the videos and you actually see the white spirit eyes open. And like when we do it with our team members, that they're doing it properly. You know that they're doing it as it should be done. But when you see the whites of the spirit eyes, it's like a real white. If like we did it with, say, one of our, a normal person, and they open their eyes, the whites wouldn't be as white as almost like something off a movie or a TV. It's like that sort of like almost as if you've played about with some video editing and put some eyes on there, isn't it? It's really quite
yeah, they're
quite
very pure
amazing.
white, aren't they? Very, very
Yeah,
pure. If you're in a dark dungeon with a red light, you expect your eyes to be dark, black type thing because of the shadows of your face. But his eyes were quite white when they opened, which was creepy, but really good to see, to be honest. Sometimes you go on. But that was sort of, again, later on in the evening, wasn't it? It was just like it needed to build up, you
Yeah.
know, and people were scattered all over the fort by that time. So you had very sort of patches of people wandering around, which was good because if you were doing like EVP, last thing you want is someone talking up the end of the tunnel because it bounces down the tunnel. Although it sounds a long way away, but it's someone walking past the top of the tunnel. So you have to keep disregarding the EVP. So you think, well, someone's walked past the tunnel. And one of the tunnels was closed off. So myself and Dora, we were standing there looking through the grills, looking down the tunnel. Dora's got a really, really powerful torch, and I mean, this thing is like a headlights. If it comes down the tunnel, it's like a pair of headlights coming down the tunnel. It's the most brightest torch I've ever seen in my life. So we were shining it down this closed tunnel, and at the end you could see like a bat flying around the end of the tunnel, just flying around. And then I think Luke was with us then, weren't you, Luke?
Yeah, when you left to let someone out, I'd done it with Dora as well.
Yeah.
I was
And
looking
we
for it as
thought
well.
we
Yeah.
saw someone walk past the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I could see it as well.
Because although you're looking through the grill like that, but I had the camera looking straight down to the door, shine your bright light straight down to the bottom so it highlights the door frame. And a couple of times she said, someone's just poked their head round a corner. I didn't see that because I was on the left-hand side. And she said you could see it from the right looking across the tunnel sort of thing. And when we swapped over, she said, well, you'll come this side and I'll go that side. And what we thought was someone that crossed the bottom of the tunnel. but the bat had disappeared by then because the bat was hovering in the middle of the tunnel. But it is what looked like someone walked past. I don't know. And then I was called to go and let someone out because obviously we have to keep it locked so members of the public. So how did you get on, Luke, when you were doing it with Dora?
Yeah, it looks like someone poking their head around the corner at the bottom of the tunnel.
There's definitely something down there, without a doubt.
Her torch changed to purple as well, which is weird.
Oh,
Like a purple light, yeah.
Oh, that's right. You said that, didn't
Yeah.
you? How it went
Yeah.
from white to purple.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anybody watching's had that before, but I mean, this thing is immense. This light, it is the purest white light you could ever see. Isn't it, Luke? It just lit
Yeah.
the whole of the thing. It's an immense torch. But when I came back, they said, well, the light just turned purple.
Yeah.
So how it can go from pure white to purple, I don't know. But Luke said, I saw it. It changed. It changed from white to
Yeah.
purple. And Dora said, well, I've never seen that before. So we're not quite sure what that was, whether that was spiritual or it was something to do with the torch. We don't know. But it actually changed from a pure white light to a purple colour. Then it was like the purple colour was like the aura type around the light. It was strange.
Yeah.
Very, very
Yeah.
strange. You know, where you see the beam, normally it's clear white, but it was actually really piercing purple. And the white light was very dim in the middle. Although this torch is immensely bright, you know, it was fully charged because it's got like an indicator on the top of the torch that tells you what charge is. And it was about 89, 90%. So it wasn't because the torch was running down.
Mhm.
So I'm not quite sure what that is. If anybody knows or come across that before, let us know. But it actually turned purple. So I don't know what that was. It's very strange. But let's say when we were down in the other tunnel with a smaller group, you know, there was all sorts of things going. Like Julie said, the trip wire was going red in one place and it went red down the other place. And one time it went off. The young couple, the man and the woman, saw it. They said, was that supposed to do that? The time we'd all turned to look at it, it'd gone back to normal. So she said it was like pink and then went red. And then you have to step over it for it to go red. So, you know, it was things. There's lots of rustling, wasn't there? Lots of, but the shadow box, voices. That you could physically hear that. You know, it's that loud. Quite what it was definitely not the wind because there was no wind. Nothing was blowing. Because even the writing planchette, the paper was just still on the top of the table, not as though the wind was blowing the paper up. Like you'd have to keep holding the paper down. It was just doing it. And then we said when we were doing a bit of glass, can you take the glass to where you was standing? And it took it over to the corner. But it didn't really communicate with it. And then we tried it on the shadow box, didn't we? Can you take the lights to where you're standing? And exactly where the glass went was exactly where it pointed the shadow on
do
the
you
track.
remember a little bit sort of like before we did the table tipping, we had the red torch like face down on the table, so it just sort of like gave a bit of a glow. And then we put like the glow in the dark ping pong ball on the table. And there was about 3 of us on the glass, and the glass kept on sort of like, because we said, oh, we're trying to get like a yes and no, get it to go to yes or get it to go to no, red light for yes, ball for no. But it wasn't really doing that. It was just circling round the ping pong ball. And we said, oh, can you go around the ping pong ball? And it was like going faster and faster around the ping pong ball. And then it sort of like went away from the ping pong ball. We said, oh, if you were, I can't remember the questions now, but if you're a boy, can you take the glass around the ping pong ball? And it was sort of like going around the ping pong ball for yes. It seemed to like circling the ping pong ball with the glass. What the questions were off the top of my head, I can't remember. It seems such a long time ago now. But we were doing that, and we got some quite good responses from getting the glass to circle the ping pong ball. It seemed to quite enjoy doing that.
It was interesting, trying different ways, wasn't it? Are you going back? Would you go back?
Maybe at some point in the future.
Yeah. I mean, it's that one or Widley, isn't it? Really along there. But I didn't realise how big Purbrook was. It's huge, isn't it? 'Cause it goes right round the corner. I didn't realise, and the guy said it was one of the biggest forts up on the hill. But I thought Widley was big, but this is huge. I did a Facebook one, and I sort of walked down around it, and you can see how it goes down and around. It's got another entrance further around the corner, and great place. First time I'd been there this time, but it was a good place. It didn't disappoint. The latter part of the evening, it seemed to build itself up, and I think we could have been there till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning because it was that interactive. You didn't really want to go. It's only, like I say, when somebody said, "Oh, it's 1:30," I think, "Oh, we best be heading back." And could you pack up the room and all the stuff that you do, empty the urn and all of that. Make sure a lot of people wrote on the whiteboard, the activity board. So there's some good stuff on there, which is interesting. How different people got different names, and I think someone got Mark on there as well. I thought I saw that written on it. So it was interesting that they got the same name we did on the voice recorder. So it's sort of, I don't know. It was just
bring up the activity board. I'm just seeing if I can bring it up.
But it's a good contacts down there. It did build up. When it starts to thin out, doesn't it, a little bit during the evening when people find different places that are active and they sort of settle in there, don't they, and stay there and all of that. So some people are walking around, some are down the tunnel, some were, by the keeps and all sorts of places. So it was interesting.
Remember, isn't it? It's hard to remember what happened, but I've got the activity board and I'll just read through it quite quickly. Ground tunnel at end, glass move in tracer wire. Someone trod on it, heard whisper, did psychic transfiguration, and eyes flickered, shadow tracker flashed, and a few times. Someone wrote bottom of tunnel, American soldiers, James, bandage on eye, sat in chair. Avery, head bandaged, lead on bed. Donald, leg blown off, bandage on knee, stump. Stuart got his face scratched. I remember Stuart telling me that. Sarah, James and Mark, little flashes of light, cat ball going off, cold spots and face seen. Also, Sarah and James and Mark saw a face as well. We had table tipping, tracer wire going off, breath-like noise on numerous occasions, great shadow tracker, end of night, and EVPs. So that was what everybody wrote on the board, but I'm sure that was just a small part of what we got. It was really, really quite. Once it got going, it was really active. It just took a little while to warm up.
Yeah. But it was the time you've got the EVPs like that, Mark, and all of that, and you come walking out of the tunnel, you're so hyped up because you've got such a good contact, you forget to write on the board. So I'm sure there's lots because people want to listen to it then, don't they? And like Gemma was saying, God, play it again, let me record it, let me listen to it again. And, having asked it to touch someone and it touched Gemma and it touched Dora and it interacted with the shadow box really, which was interesting. We were getting yes and no answers on the shadow box. The tracer wire worked well. All in all, it took a little bit of time to build, but then some locations do, don't they? You could be there a couple of hours, 3 hours and not get a great deal. And then suddenly it's away, isn't it? It's off. But it's the sort of place where we could have stayed in that room for a long time. But I think we would have had interaction because it was really starting to ramp up, with the EVPs, the light box, the breath you heard. And a lot of the times you could physically hear that. So
there was so much more we could have done, we didn't do the pendulum, we didn't do other bits and pieces we could have done because it all just started to kick off and there was so much going on that you just want to stay and concentrate on what was happening there and then. Tried the Ouija board, didn't really get anything on the board. We tried it with the glass, we tried it with a planchette, didn't really get much going on that. But all in all, it turned, I think the first sort of like hour was a little bit quiet, trying to get the glass going and that, and then it just started to just ramp up, and the activity just got really good.
It was interesting. That first day you think, oh, come on, please do something, and you get a tap or knock, or the glass would move a little bit, and myself and Julia were there saying, come on, you can do this, you can move the glass, use the energy, do what you need to do to make. And it was sort of, we weren't on the board, but a couple of people had it moving, didn't they? And she was saying, oh, look, it's actually moving. It wasn't like, when we normally do it, you get that forceful movement around. It was very, very slow and methodical, wasn't it? Like it was just not sure. Can you take the glass to where you're standing? It was very slow going across the board to where it was stood. But the interesting thing was the shadow tracker indicated the same areas where it was standing, which was between me and Mark, I think. It was like between us, and we both looked at each other. And we said earlier before that we thought there was something standing between us. I think Dora or Gemma said, are you two? Is this, how many of you standing there? And there is Dora or Gemma, because they could see what looked like a shadow between us. But we couldn't see anything, myself and Mark. And it was cold, very, very cold in that area, but not cold you'd say there's something standing there, even though it indicated there was something there. And I'm sure it was Gemma or Dora that saw something between myself and Mark. Whether it's a black mist, I don't know, that we saw earlier, that blacked the whole room out. But all in all, it was an interesting night, really.
I've got a bit of recording where we going, okay, where we said our name, because I think we were trying to see if it recognised somebody in the room, because I think it said it recognised somebody. So we were saying, oh, if we say our name, can you flash a shadow tracker, when you see when we get to the person that you recognise. And I've got a recording of Gemma going, oh, I don't know about this, Julia, I don't know about this, Julia. And I'm like, so I said, right, okay, I'll start.
She's going, is this a good idea? Maybe, what if it comes to me? Sorry, Gemma does, bless her. Unfortunately, it didn't.
A little bit freaked out, didn't she, at that point? But
yeah, I think she was on edge, yeah.
It was getting quite good at that point.
And it did indicate a person in the room. It recognised.
Yeah, there was a lady. Sammy? Was it Sammy?
I think it might have been her.
It was.
I think she was really right next to Luke. Yeah, I think it was right next to Luke, because we said to you when we were going round in a circle saying our names. Can you flash once if someone heard it? We kept asking it questions and not really getting a response. To say, do you recognise someone in the room? And it flashed a big white flash for yes. So, okay, how do we do this? Then Julie said, right, we'll go around in a circle and just say our names. And then, of course, Gemma was being Gemma, like she does, which was quite funny.
I'm not quite sure about this, Julia.
You thought this was a good idea? Having been touched earlier.
Just push it a bit further. And, it's
that's what we wanted, wasn't it? The contact, and really, really sort of go the extra bit, sort of keep it going. And it started off with Julia, Mark, me, didn't flash, and it got round to Lady Sammy, and just as she said her name and Luke said his, it flashed. But it flashed in that corner where they were.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. It recognised someone in the room. Whether it recognised her or Luke from a previous investigation there, don't know.
Yeah, I've been there twice before.
Sorry, Luke?
Before Saturday, I've been there twice before.
So
could have been.
Maybe it did. Yeah, maybe it did recognise Luke. I didn't get a feeling it was a loved one.
No, it wasn't.
It was whoever was in that room. No. Sometimes you get that feeling it's a loved one, a nan or a gran, but this was just too forceful. It was. It knew where it was. Sorry.
Sometimes when you do go to a venue that you visited before, sometimes I do say, oh, is there anybody here? We've been here before. Do you recognise anybody? Take the glass who you recognise. And They do recognise us from.
Yeah.
I know anybody that's listening probably thinks we're absolute nuts, but they do recognise us.
I think we are nuts. We go looking for ghosts. That's not the same thing to do, is it? But it's a really,
it's
really interesting.
Lot of fun.
Yeah, you've got to come along. If you've never done ghost hunting before, come along, because we do have a laugh. You know, we do take it seriously. You know, we're a great team together. We really bounce off of each other. You know, there's many, many years of experience within that room, like with myself, Julia, Angela, Luke. You know, there's many, many years of experience in there. And we do liven it up. We do laugh and joke and, you know, have a laugh, because I think Spirit enjoy that. It just ramps the energy up. And it was like we were laughing down there, you know, a few funny little things with Gemma, and, you know, we always laugh when Gemma jumps. And then the activity starts to build again, you know, and we had that contact, and it was like we were off. It thought, well, this is a fun group. Let's have a bit of a laugh with them. You know, it'd have been good if we'd have caught something physical, you know, a shadow, but then you can't have it always, can you? You know, we got the EVP, we got the good recording of that. You know, that to me, if I'd have gone the whole night and that had just been that was enough for me to get that direct response from that recording. You know, often you don't get that, do you? A direct response. And could it be, is it someone talking? Is it someone further down? But this was instant on the end of the microphone. So we were really pleased with that capture. But other than that, it was a good night, very windy. Not you guys being nuts, lol, but Spirit do recognise us. Yeah. And I'm sure they do. You know, it was strange how it went towards this lady. I don't know whether she'd been before, but it was between her and Luke. It was one or the other of them that it recognised. So it could have been Luke, seeing that he's been there a couple of times before.
Yeah.
But it obviously recognised someone in that corner, because it, you know, funny enough, when I was looking around when we were in the room, we ended up actually in a circle, unbeknown to us.
Oh, yeah, we did, yeah.
You know, we weren't all sort of standing. It was literally like a full circle, but we didn't realise we were actually standing in a circle, believe it or not.
We didn't mean to, though, did we? We just...
No. It's just how we all stood.
Start with, and then once the activity started going, we all sort of like, I think you all just like huddle in a bit closer, don't you?
I think you just get inquisitive, don't you? Because the shadow boxes go in and you hear the breath, you hear the name. You sort of want to get a bit closer to the equipment and see if you can get something. And obviously the voice recorder was on the table running on its own. So, you know, there's no outside interference from it. But so all in all, it was a enjoyable night, really.
Good.
So it was quite active. Yeah, we really enjoyed it. So what's your next one coming up, Julia?
We're at Merris Wood, Worplesdon, which is just outside Guildford, on the 18th of October. Sadly, we just have to take what dates they give us, and it clashes with Paul and Jen's holiday. So apologies for that one. You will be missed, like Angela was on Saturday.
Definitely.
It's just you can't make them all, can you? It's just one of those.
No.
I have to. But you just can't do them all, and it's just unfortunate that they had that date, and it's it is what it is, isn't it? And then after that, 2nd of November, we're up at Cogs Manor, which can't wait for that one. I'm really looking forward to that one. That's our Halloween one. And then the end of November, I think it's the 21st, we're at Abingdon, just up sort of like Oxford way. And we're at the Unicorn Theatre. We haven't done the Unicorn Theatre before, brand new venue. No idea what to expect. I've only
That's
seen
an early start, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, I think it starts about 5:30 and it finishes about 11. So it's but it's going to be winter, so it's going to be dark. I think, when you get there, it will probably be dark when you get there. But that's the times that they gave us, and that's the time that we thought, well, I've only ever seen one other group doing it, so yeah, let's go, let's see what it's all about. And it's a tick off a list. It's a new venue that none of us have done before. So yeah, looking forward to that one. I think it dates back to like medieval times, so it's quite historic. So we're going to go and do that one, and then maybe sneak a little cheeky one in before Christmas. I'm not sure.
Lapland. We're at North Fort this Saturday. Can't wait.
That's
Great
a good
place.
one as
well. Yeah. We got some good stuff in there. Also got a possible thing with the BBC, but it's early days at the moment. Oh, Brill.
Oh, good.
Good for you. Go for it. Excellent. But not the Fort, as we call it. It was a good venue, that one. We got some good video footage in the tank room. The scratching when we were standing there, the child's voice saying "Mum" in the background. We had some real good activity. Julia and Gemma walking through, people talking. It's a good activity around there. Yeah, it's a good venue, that one. I like that one. You had everything, didn't you? There, rooms, corridors, tunnels, up, down, round. It's a massive place, but it's a great venue. Really, really. So good luck for Saturday, Ghost Dragon Investigation, and good luck with your maybe BBC thing. It would be good, just before they get rid of it. So, anything else anybody wants to add from Saturday night? Jack, what was your mum's dancing like?
I wasn't looking. I was outside. It was too loud.
He wasn't watching me, unfortunately, so nothing can be said on that.
Too loud.
We'll ask Amy then. She must have been watching.
She was drunk. Can't get anything out of it.
You can't tell us either what your dancing was like.
No. There might be videos, but I'm not sharing them.
Yeah, go on. Yeah. On the Monday Night Paranormal Live of Angela. Come dancing. It's a 10 from then. Anyway, so that was our investigation at the weekend. We've got nothing on this weekend, I don't think, as far as I can remember. Probably catch up on sleep, footage, videos, etc. How long it takes to gather everything up and check it. I'll try and work out to get the EVPs of my recorder and then get them over to Angela, and then you can listen to the EVPs. I'll try and send it to you, Jamie, if I can. It's just learning how to get them off the recorder and send it over, because it's on a customization file or something. So yeah, I think you have to convert it, and I don't know. It's all too much for me. I'm old. Anyway, if there's nothing else to say, I think that's it for tonight. So thank you very much for tuning in again, Monday Night Paranormal Live, with myself, Angela, Julia, and Luke. So it was a great venue, and we enjoyed it. So thank you, Julia and Paranation, for that Ghost Hunted event.
No, thank you for helping host.
That's fine.
Great
So
help.
if you want any tickets for anything else, go onto the Paranation website, get your tickets. I think there's a few less for Merriswood. Unfortunately, myself, I won't be there because I've got other things going on. Great place, great venue, great venue. Very audible. So if you're going there, use your hearing, because it's a very audible place, but a great location. It is very active. So enjoy yourself, and we'll hear all about it, no doubt, from Julia on the following Monday. So it'd be good. And Luke, you go to Merriswood?
Yeah, I'm going to book it on Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. So if you want tickets for any of the events, go to the Paranation website, book your tickets with Julia, and you'll see most of us there on and off, when we can make it or when we can't make it. But other than that, only remains me to say thank you for tuning in on Monday night, Christine and Jamie and everybody else that watches it, and catch up. So have a safe week from all of us. Goodbye and have a safe week. So bye.
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 Bye.